Hi guys, my name is Tania and today I am coming to you with my list of things that were actually good in 2016. Because when future Tania looks back on this year, I'd like to be able to look back and say, hey, some good things happened in 2016. So I'm going to start off with a couple of more personal things and then I'm going to move on to things that I enjoyed that hopefully if you haven't seen or read or done whatever with these things, you would also maybe enjoy them in 2017. So first up, this was actually supposed to be a Christmas present last year, but I faffed around about it all year, and that is that I finally got my first tattoo, which was a present from my best friend Beth. We are both massive fans of the Mortal Instruments series, especially the Infernal Devices, and we both adore Will and Jem, so we decided to get our own Parabatai tattoos, and they are hella cute and I love them. A big thing that happened to me this year was that on the 1st of January 2016 I went vegan. This was kind of a direction that I was heading in anyway, and then I heard about the Veganuary campaign that happens every year. I will put a link to their website down below because it is a super cool thing, and if it is something that you're interested in, it helped me a lot and I feel that it has a lot to offer other people as well. And this was something that I was kind of planning on doing for the month and then maybe taking a step back on and going back to being vegetarian but eating more vegan food. And at the end of the month I was just like, why stop? I would say that when I don't eat junk food, because I do eat quite a lot of junk really, I have a rather severe addiction to bourbon biscuits, and there's also a vegan shop just up the road from where I work that sells amazing cookies and sandwiches, and it's dangerous. I feel really good, and I've gone vegan before and made myself really ill because it turns out I'm not supposed to have much or if any soy, but this year I've eaten quite a low soy diet and I feel super duper good, and I've made lots of new and interesting foods. It's been a great time. And this has just opened up loads of different ideas about sustainable living in all areas of my life actually, and it's been a really interesting year, if mentally challenging at times. But yeah, it's something that if you are inclined to do it, I would highly recommend looking into. I don't want to force anyone to do anything, that's not why I'm here. I just think this was something that's really good that's happened to me this year and wanted to share it with you. So those were the two things that were really personal to me, like the things that I've done that are in a way difficult to share with other people. And now I'm going to move on to other things which I have enjoyed this year. The first of these is a podcast and it is Welcome to Night Vale. I have definitely talked about this before, but I am just growing more and more obsessed with it with every single episode that they put out. And the best way that I found to describe Night Vale is a quote from the novel that they put out last October, which is, "Look, life is stressful. This is true everywhere. But life in Night Vale is more stressful. There are things lurking in the shadows. Not the projections of a worried mind, but literal things lurking, literally, in shadows. Conspiracies are hidden in every storefront, under every street, and floating in helicopters above. And with all that, there is still the bland tragedy of life. Births, deaths, comings, goings, the gulf of subjectivity and bravado between us and everyone we care about." And that is the page that I got Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner to sign for me when I got to go and see them at their book signing back in October. After which I was super duper lucky enough to get to go and see Welcome to Night Vale live again in their latest show, which was called Ghost Stories. I think I've seen all of their live shows in the UK so far now, and this one was super duper amazing. It was billed as their most ambitious show yet, which I and probably many others thought meant something to do in terms of staging or members of cast or something physical that would happen in the show in the theatre. And it turned out that it was actually an emotionally ambitious show. You could feel from the atmosphere in the theatre around you that it affected a lot of people, and although it was kind of heartbreaking, it was also one of the most amazing experiences. So yeah, this is one of my absolute favourite things. Night Vale is amazing. They also introduced me to one of my favourite musical artists of this year, Eliza Rickman. She has this voice which is both really sweet and really haunting at the same time, and uses instruments that you don't necessarily see that much, like a toy piano and an instrument called an auto harp, which has this incredible but also haunting sound to it. On her website, her favourite description so far of her genre of music is post-Prince Charming, and the idea is that it's kind of like a Disney princess who's been through some shit. I am just mildly obsessed, and if anything in that odd garbled little review there sounded like something you would like, I would highly recommend checking her out. My other musical favourite of 2016 was that my favourite band, Biffy Clyro, finally released a new album. For some reason I've always found that Biffy Clyro's music really helps my state of mind. It can be angry but also soulful in a way, and it's always just helped me through a lot of things. Their last album, Opposites, dragged me through my 3rd year of university, and their new album, Ellipsis, had some amazing songs on it, but there was something about it that I felt at the time that it came out like I couldn't quite connect to, and I didn't listen to it as much or as obsessively as I have listened to other Biffy albums. And eventually I realised that what was going on, that I actually related to this one even more closely than I've related to other albums, and it made it hard to listen to. But in a way, realising that has helped me move on from that, and I finally got to see them live again on their tour for the Ellipsis album, and I really wish that they would come to Cardiff more often. Next up, I have 3 movies. I don't think I've been to see as many new releases in the cinema as I have in previous years, but I could be wrong. This year has felt very strange and warped. But yes, there have been 3 that have stood out for me this year. The first of which is Moana. I only saw it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I have already seen it twice, and any number of the songs from it will be running around my head at any given moment of the day. Curse you, Lin-Manuel. This film just made me feel very warm and fuzzy. It was super duper enjoyable, and as people have said, maybe it didn't break any new ground, but it didn't stop it from being great fun, and just a very welcome release from this year. The second film is another Disney film because I have no shame, and that is Zootropolis. I have always had a weakness for talking animals. I don't know what it is. I had a weird obsession with Maid Marian in the Disney Robin Hood when I was younger, and it has just carried on into my adult life. I love talking animals. So yeah, this film was never going to be hard to sell to me. And then it kicks in with all these messages about achieving your dreams and being who you want to be and not judging someone because of their background or what they look like. And there you have a film that I went back to see multiple times in the cinema, bought out on DVD on the day that it came out, and can't stop watching because I love it. Finally, I have my absolute favourite film of 2016, and that was the Ghostbusters reboot. Obsessed doesn't even begin to cover how I feel about this film. If other people and life humoured me, I would probably sit in my living room and watch this every night. As it is, I just have to settle for watching it as often as possible and dressing my teddy bear as a Ghostbuster. So this film features 4 women, 3 of whom have PhDs, and the 4th just is a walking bank of knowledge of the history of their city, and they all spend the film looking and acting like normal people, and there is nothing about this film that turns them into sexual objects, which I just adore, and they save the world. It is just the best thing ever. Finally, and obviously, I come to books. Although I was struggling a lot earlier in the year, this is still a huge one to me. And to save everyone some time, instead of going on and on forever about everything that I loved this year, I've picked out 5 books that were important to me in 2016. The first of these was The Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This was for me a very highly anticipated continuation in the A Darker Shade of Magic series, and I loved how it took steps back from the action of the first book, whilst also darkly carrying us along towards the climax in the 3rd book, which is coming out in 2017. The second book was Sappho's Fables, 3 lesbian fairytale novellas by Elora Bishop and Jennifer Diemer, which was lent to me by a friend, and I've read it and I still need to return it. Yes, I am a bad person. This wasn't necessarily one of my favourite things that I read this year or one of the best things that I read this year, but for me 2016 has had a lot of tough choices and revelations and soul searching, and it meant a lot that my friends had books to lend to me that could make me feel more comfortable and confident in myself. It just meant a lot to me in its own special little way. Third is a non-fiction book, and it is The Joy of Less, a minimalist living guide by Francine Jay. I saw this in a bookshop and it was a really beautiful book, but it seemed stupid to buy a book about owning less, so I have this on my Kindle instead. It really helped me to downsize when I was moving into this flat, and although I haven't kept it up and more clutter has crept back into my life, I know that I could return to this very easily and sort it back out again. Overall, I just found this book a lot less intimidating than The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which is the decluttering book that everyone talks about all the time, which is another book that I have on my Kindle, but I am still to even attempt to read it. The 4th book was Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. This is recommended literally all the time by Mel at Books with Wings, and she absolutely sold it to me, so I downloaded it on my Kindle, and here it is on my list of favourite things of 2016. This looks at feminism, intersectionality, and self-identity, whilst also being fun and relatable, which don't feel like they should go together, but they do, and it makes it even more amazing. This was just a very eye-opening read, and I will definitely be looking for more things like it in the coming year. And finally, I have The Lumberjanes. It was volumes 3 and 4 that came out this year, and I am still absolutely obsessed with this series. The storyline continues to be intriguing, the Lumberjanes themselves are all just adorable in their individual little ways, and all in all this is just heartwarming. Waiting for each volume of this is pretty much what has got me through 2016. So yeah, these were my things that have actually been good in 2016. This year has been kind of bleak in many different ways, but it's been good to look back and find some positives, and that's something that I need to do more in my life in general anyway, so this has been a really good place to start. I hope that you're all having a really good day, that you're all hanging in there, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Goodbye! It was volumes 3 and 4. Oh my gosh, I'm hitting myself in the face with them. It was volumes